Hey guys, it's Turok, and today I want to do a video going over the I'm trying to think the good adjective verbs, the hellfire that's about to come down upon Egghead. We've been going over Egghead for weeks now. The Straw Hats have been there. This is like the 19th chapter of Egghead, I would say, starting around 1060. I don't think they really arrived on the island until 1061. I think at 1061 they saw Lilith. Um, and One second. So I've been on the island for 15, 16 chapters now, and shit's already about to go Enie's Lobby 2.0. And that's what I was going to go over today. I was going over Enie's Lobby this morning. And my God, I was looking up how many minutes of roughly about that we can just see the destruction and the people trying to escape, and it comes to about an hour, maybe a little over. It was hard to pinpoint exactly because I was looking at we got the parts at the end where the Straw Hats the Straw Hats fighting their way out at the end, and this is basically what I'm doing here is making a roadmap of looking at the kind of stuff that happened there and is about to happen now. But this is ironic too, because as this arc started building up, this was looking more like a Saviodi Archipelago arc 2.0, because we had Sentomaro there, we have Kizaru coming, we have pacifistas involved. Now, so an Admiral, we have Sentomaro, we have the pacifistas. Everything about this was screaming Sav-Odi, but now it's like becoming more like Ohara and Enies Lobby, I should say. Enies Lobby, Ohara too, all together. And, but this time, we're not going to get just 10 battleships. We have 100 battleships coming. I really starting to think too that that Kizaru, the Gorosei, I think they're gonna try and bring this many now because they're hoping they can finally get rid of Straw Hat Luffy, the Straw Hats, I should say, all together as well, because they know the end of the last chapter they figured out that Luffy arrived there, and once again too, I'm curious on how they can figure that out. I want to know how they're keeping tabs on him. So they know he's coming, and I don't think they're fucking around anymore in reality. Although, if he escapes from here, that's why Luffy's probably gonna still escape from here. I mean, this is the main plot. He's the main character, and they're not. So there's some what do you call that when he's hold on, I got a sneeze bad. Plot armor. Excuse me. The plot armor is thick with someone like Luffy, and it's like that with some of these anime, manga in general. So, how do I put this? I was just saying before that the world government isn't fucking around, but it's like he's gonna have to escape here because Laughter hasn't arrived. We're not at Laughter yet. I just really like what I'm kind of getting at too is the hype is becoming so good here that when Luffy escapes, what are they gonna send when he goes to Laughdell? And I have a feeling what's going to happen at Laughdell is as the others find out, the pirates. I'm wondering how Oda will do this for the pirates, because I have a feeling that based on how quickly they knew Luffy's at Egghead, they'll somehow find out that he's at Laughdell real quickly, and so based on it, they're gonna send. Look what they're sending now to Egghead. What are they gonna send to Laughdell when they find out it's been found again? Because they've probably been preparing for this. Roger found the island 25 years ago. Actually, that brings up a question too. Well, he found it 25 years ago and got proclaimed king of the pirates. And ever since then, I have a feeling the Gorosei, and I bet there were like some other members in charge back then. Unless these guys, other guys there, the other four, started out as young as the youngest guy looks, who looks like a, I'm going to borrow Tekking's name of calling him Sanji's uncle. Unless they were all like his age then, and they were like maybe, oh no. I wonder how that works. Like how many Gorosei were there with, there that were like older, and how many each of them came in later. It's obvious that the youngest one now, he probably can't have been there, I'm going to say more than 10 years, because he just wouldn't have enough experience as like this, in this kind of deliberation they do to decide such important foreign affairs and world affairs. So anyways, they're probably preparing for this possibility that someone's going to get to the One Piece again. Maybe that's part of the reason they're so good at following people like Luffy now. Maybe they've started figuring out how to keep track of Kaido and Big Mom, Whitebeard, and actually they would have to, because look how quickly they found out. Right after this Enie's Lobby arc was over is when Shanks and Whitebeard meet, and because Shanks wanted to talk about getting Ace back to safety because he knew that I think he must have figured out basically what Blackbeard was doing. By the way, that's a little weird now that I think about it. Did he know what Blackbeard was basically doing? And by the way, that brings up something else I wanted to bring up. I had a thought the other day. If Buggy and his crew would have captured Ace that one time he visited their ship, I forget exactly between what arc that was, where they showed up. Buggy showed up again. It was probably, and that was that the last time Buggy showed up before they showed him at he was captured and ended up in level 2 or 3, probably 2 of Impel Down. This is probably the last time he was shown. Ace just happens to go on, just goes on their ship, invites himself, and eats some of their food. Oh, crap. Ace gets on the ship, and I was thinking, what if Buggy had captured, had listened to his men, and they captured Ace there and got his bounty? By the way, I have a feeling that if any pirate, especially someone of Buggy's caliber back then, tried to bring in a big pirate like Ace, they would not get the bounty. They'd just get captured themselves. You'd have to probably be someone like a Yonko or close enough where they'd be so afraid of trying to capture you. Like, look how they treat Shanks. They know where, not Shanks, sorry. Rayleigh. They know where Rayleigh is, but they don't bother to try and capture him. So what if someone of that caliber captured Ace, who's a big pirate, and had a decent bounty? So say it's anyone else. Say it's a rogue pirate who's not even part of a Yonko crew, not that rank that Ace has. So say someone who's got a few billion or 2 billion bounty, another crocodile-like figure, who's a well-known pirate. He can't be captured because they can't deal with him, or they don't want to bother. And he brings in Ace. Would he get the bounty? They probably would just refuse to. He'd have to somehow. How would a pirate make sure they get the 500 million plus berries if someone like Ace gives them to him? I wonder if that's ever happened before. If Oda's conceived a story like that, where a high level pirate. I'm gonna close my window here. Get a little air. Where a high-level pirate, nearly Yonko level or close like that level, they capture another pirate and they turn him in to try and get some additional funds. I wonder if that's ever happened. Shoot. So, all right, Shanks, yeah. So I was just thinking, what if, did Shanks know about what Blackbeard essentially was planning? He should have said that to Whitebeard, I think. Hey, they're going to try and capture him and bring you in. They're going to... Ring. I'm trying to think they're hoping to use it as a trap. Blackbeard's hoping to use that as a trap. He knows that you'll fight and get weakened, and he'll take advantage of that. So all this tangent, I'll try and put that aside again. I was wondering how many ships do the Navy have that they would send to Lafdell once they find out, and how will they find out? So, because they probably don't want another king of the pirates. I think I brought this up before. I'm also still wondering if they're preparing for this, as well as the reason is not to have a king of a pirate. I wonder if there's still a reason left. I wonder if the world government, particularly Eamsama, may know what Lafdell really is, but maybe they can't find it themselves. There's a lot of questions. I have a feeling that Lafdell is something that's very important. Probably one of like maybe it's the last remnants of an island that's part of the ancient civilization. Pretty sure I said that before, and if not, I'm saying it now. So all that's being said, Lafdell is probably going to be very important too. Like they'll go after it. But my point is, they're already taking this Egghead incident serious enough. So what kind of stuff will they send to Lafdell? Who was that? That Doflamingo said that this will truly be like the largest war ever. And I think Oda's trying to. Oh, excuse me. I think Oda's trying to fulfill that through what he had through the mouthpiece of Doflamingo back at was that like 906 in the chapter? I think it was the same chapter where he or maybe he said earlier when he showed up a few times and they showed him in the Impel Down. I think Oda is truly trying to build up now, like Enies Lobby and Ohara were like the tidbits. They were terrible tragedies for what they represented, or what Ohara is. But look how they were destroyed, because they're on an island unprotected. How quickly they were destroyed, and now we're building up. We saw the forces they brought forward when one Yonko crew came to Marineford. Now we have another incident with Egghead, where the most important asset the world government has, outside like the Marine admirals, is become compromised, and they know he's got Seraphim, so they're going to send more troops, and because they know a Yonko has arrived there, Oda's is really, I think, doing a great job in escalating and showing how things are going to. He doesn't start big right off the bat so that we're unimpressed. He's doing what every great author of any type of media should do. Well, author, if they're not movies or something, but you build up to the big stuff soon. You can introduce some smaller stuff, use other stuff soon here and there, like Mihawk showed up. So he's one of the strongest characters in the world as far as we can tell. He showed up in the early parts of One Piece. That was like episode, I was watching it the other day. So it was episode 24 or 23 of the anime. And it must have been like that's the Baratier, chapter 70 to 80. I forget. So he's introduced there. Aokiji is the first admiral we see. We get a warlord early on, another warlord, Crocodile. We see he's impressive. We see the Gorosei early on. We got little tidbits of them. And with Aokiji and Mihawk, as respectively, we saw how great their powers are. One is a superb Logia, and one's a superb physical fighter as a swordsman. And so Oda showed little stuff like that to give us that idea of what the Straw Hats have to achieve. And he did the same thing with like not really showing off all the Yonko early. All we saw was Shanks and Whitebeard before the time skip. We never saw any of them before the other Yonko before the time skip. The other two of course. We saw Blackbeard, who would eventually become a Yonko. So we technically had three. Because his strength was probably pretty damn good even then, and much better now, obviously. So he built up this stuff like that to show us where the Straw Hats have to go to. And now he's doing the same thing with these events. So Ohara's destroyed. Buster called. Enies Lobby. And Enies Lobby is one that's very interesting as I rewatched it. Because it's really interesting how cold some of these vice admirals are. I'll get more into that in a moment. It's really disturbing to me in some ways that how quickly Oda really showed off. And I don't know how many people remember that. Because I was always thinking about the admirals and even Sengoku and how cold they were in doing this stuff and how. But the vice admirals too. You can't. These other ones, not Garp. You can't mess around with them, even if you're one of their crew members, because that one who, yeah, I'll get into it. So, Escalation. Oda's doing great with Escalation. Actually, I was thinking about this just now too, with briefly one last tangent with John Wick. I was rewatching some of the John Wick movies, but because I want to go see that fourth one when I can. They built up in that one too into him having conflict with this high table who that's like the highest power technically. Well, in that criminal underworld, this organization they got, but they didn't start off with much of that in the first movie. We first saw this one hotel that is part of that organization, is a node of it, and you can't break rules there, and they showed us the consequences when that one woman tried to, and he was dealing with a local organized crime boss he used to work with whose son pissed him off, essentially. And then from there, that had built up to him dealing with this guy who's part of a family who's on a high table and wanting him to kill someone else who is a member. So he killed a member of that, and then in the next one, we build up to seeing this adjudicator who's someone who works for the high table and has a lot of power of their own on behalf, power vested in them by the high table. And now it looks like the next one's going to be the high table finally. He's really going, and so 4 movies to get up into there. Pretty good, I'd say. So, build up. Yeah, so now looking at this, what's going to happen, I'm trying to think about if there's going to be any great final fights. But the way this has been playing out, I feel like Oda's basically doing a rush. It's not rushed per se, but we didn't have a Water 7 arc, and we didn't have the Sea Train part. This is basically Enie's Lobby without a lot of the pretense and build-up of that, because we already know what's going to happen. We go to an island that's extremely important again. This time it's like an island run by the greatest asset, rather than Enie's Lobby, which is also an asset, but it's directly under their control. I'm really out of breath. I get too excited with this. So, I'm trying to like convert an idea here of how this is probably going to go down really intensely like Enie's Lobby, but even more. Like a combination of Enie's Lobby. I think Sabaody falls good here too, and I bet that's why Oda brought in all the reoccurring characters, the main ones, not with exception of some of the other. They could also introduce the other worst generation supernovas, but so Bonnie's the only one there, other than the Straw Hats. Anyways, I think this is where Oda's going. He's building up all these intense situations we saw before, and he's shoving it quickly into this, like a sugar rush to us, where we're gonna see. Hold on. So unlike the Enie's Lobby arc, I don't think this arc's gonna be the same, because now Oda's already turned things upside down, because we started out with looking like this being an Enie's Lobby 2.0, as I said before, but because the Kaku and the Lucci came in, but Oda quickly had that like dismissed, because we saw quick there that Luffy now with his gear 5th is outmatching Lucci. And actually that was something I was thinking about last night. If Luffy had somehow come to this island after Big Mom's Whole Cake Island arc, or even earlier, because he with him having gear 4th Snake Man up his sleeve, I'm wondering how well his Snake Man form would have done against Lucci. I have a feeling I'm guessing that's more or less what Lucci's power level might be as far as speed. And Luffy is just now, with gear 5th, he's like the Super Saiyan, what is that? Super Saiyan, you can't say Super Saiyan 2. Using Dragon Ball of these, gear 2nd, gear 4th, Snake Man's like a deep variation, gear 5th. I feel like this is almost like the Super Saiyan 3 of Luffy's transformations. Gear 4th, you could say, gear 4th, Snake Man, the other one are both similar, and he just got faster. I'm still going to go with Super Saiyan 3. Anyways, yeah, Gear 5th looks like it's just him balanced. All his powers have gone, his physical attributes have gone up. So, sorry, where was I? Tangent. Lucci, yeah. So we start off looking at that, knowing Lucci was it came there, and they fought briefly about 8 chapters ago. And now it quickly ended when, because everyone's trying, the whole thing started becoming, the first half was just everyone learning new, that we're introduced to this new island. We get to look around. Oda kind of does this with everything. Skypiea, Dressrosa. I don't know, I think, well, with Alabasta, it was a little different because Vivi had prepped them for going there, and we knew there was going to be some tension. So that was, they still got to see some of it. But this one was weird too, in that we got that, even though they're on an island where they're technically the enemies because of its affiliation. But we started off with that. Then we got the fighting, but it quickly became now where they're going to escape. So Lucci is now an ally of all things. So it's very funny how Oda's like taking all his old bullet points and he's speeding it up. So what I was trying to get at before I started this tangent is that I don't think the Straw Hats are going to have any particular foe they'll defeat in the normal way. Even though we got York now as the main enemy of this, I think this is quickly going to change to her. Maybe she won't be an ally per se, but I don't think there'll be a whole 3 chapters of fighting her solely, like Luffy one-on-one with her. Because Kizaru and the others are about to be there. I have a feeling as this escalation built up a bit with York and the others, that's when Kizaru and everyone will arrive with their ships and probably start bombarding this. And we'll see that they won't be, I think with Kizaru and especially St. J there, the way this plan I think they had before was going to happen was they were just going to have Lucci and Kaku and Stussy take out who they need to take out the Vegapunk and his satellites, and then they just stand by while the Kizaru arrives. So this wasn't going to be an Enie's Lobby verse. This was supposed to be like a covert operation with some military backup just to make sure everything goes smoothly. This is kind of like Enie's Lobbies too, really, because they do a covert, Lucci, you can see parallels here. With Water 7, they had a covert operation. This one was much longer with, because they were undercover for like 5 years, taking care of the, being on cover to get in the good graces with the company and Water 7. Now, Iceberg, who rules Water 7's, runs it, not rules it. He rules it as a elected official, not rules it not like Doflamingo or Kaido or anything. So we got these parallels. So then that was a covert operation. Then they found out Nico Robin was there, seems like that was a bonus for them there. They were initially just looking for the plans, and then they get that. They were going to get them from Iceberg. He didn't have them. We find out later that Frankie does. So they get Nico Robin. It looks like they just took in, right? They just took in Frankie there. How did they find out about him again? I have to rewatch that bit. So they bring Nico Robin and Frankie in. And then that became it was like covert, and they got away without having a fuss in Water 7 that was well known. And then it just escalated at Enie's Lobby. Because the Straw Hats and the other company and Frankie's family came together as an alliance. That was also neat. There was an early alliance there too, much like we saw with Kaido Wano. So where was I going? Yeah. So now we're gonna have this. We have this covert operation that has changed because that's interesting too. Did they know? Well, no, they couldn't have. That's the thing. So the timeline. I was just thinking, why didn't they brief Lucci about this? Because the last chapter showed that the Gorosei and Akainu found out about Luffy arriving there. So somehow someone's reporting to them somehow. That's, like I said before, it's interesting how they figured that out. So I feel like someone should have told Lucci right away what to expect. Although I guess you could argue too they're not worried because he's the type of guy they know he'll be prepared for unexpected stuff. But So this was supposed to be a covert operation. They would go there, take out the satellites, keep the others from escaping. That's the question too. What were they going to do? I forgot to bring that up in the past. They planned. I keep wondering if they would have kept one of the satellites, or how would they replace Vegapunk, because he's such an invaluable asset to them comparatively to anything else because of his genius. They can get other strong combatants to fill out the ranks in the Marines like they have done in the last couple of years. But so would they have also though got rid of all the staff and the other scientists that are working underneath Vegapunk? Is that what they were waiting for Kizaru to arrive? Because Kizaru's already going there. Interesting. A lot of little what ifs and how they plan to have this all figured out. So back to the main thing. I don't think that I imagine there's going to be some fighting going on with York to make sure Vegapunk is safe. The question here, though, is what's going to interrupt this? Is Kizaru and Saint J going to just pop in on the island, and there's going to be a fight with them? That would be pretty cool, because we're all speculating what Saint J can do. And Kizaru's going to be there. He's one, because he got the Admirals set up as like they're going to be a force that the Straw Hats monster trio will have to fight. And it looked like earlier we got Sanji and Kizaru, which is what I was about to go into. Now we got Fujitora and Zoro, and I know they clashed at Dressrosa, and I forget how that went down. I don't think Zoro really came out on top, because he's gonna have to figure out, if he fights him again, he has to figure a way around that gravity power. And then there's but now we got Green Bull. Oh, maybe they'll have like a fight with Green Bull and Jinbei. Maybe that's why Oda's got Jinbei there being propped up with he's using the bounty to show Jinbei's one of the best. Because Luffy and Akainu were the one we know will fight at some point, because Akainu killed Ace and Luffy's got beef with him. So, what was I getting with this? Yes, Akainu's going to show up, and I'm wondering if we'll have a chance to see how him and Sanji stack up at this point, because they're both like the fighters that use kicking, and they got a lot of speed. And so I would like to see that happen. But at this point here, this is going to probably be where Kizaru is going to come in there to help clean things up. I wonder if he'll come in there first, and then they'll just use the battleships to surround the island. This is also becoming, again, a parallel of Enie's lobby, because looking back here, once Spondam accidentally presses that button, it was just the Vice Admirals that came through the gates of justice to bombard the island. And interestingly, I thought maybe this was weird that there was no stop. They didn't have like an admiral there to back them up, but it does look like I think it was Aokiji must have informed them, like, okay, just don't kill Nico Robin. They knew about Nico Robin being there on the the Bridge of Hesitation, that spot right near the gates where Spondam, that was as far as he made it before Frankie and Usopp stopped him. So what was I putting that? Yeah, so where Kizaru arrived first, I think, like once he gets close enough to the island, I wonder if he'll just traverse over there himself to see what the situation is. You know, like he would want to like have Luke Kaku and Lucci report to him, and then he'll say, hey, what's going on? What's the situation? And then they'll have to figure out the Seraphim thing. That's the next thing. I'm wondering if St. J's there. I think St. J solely isn't there anymore to just get the Seraphim. Now the way that the last chapter presented this, he is probably there because he knows the situation has become such a deal with Luffy, because now they're ranking him as a Yonko. By the way, I'm still confused because of some of the stuff I've seen with Morgan's. I'm wondering still if the Yonko thing is mostly a name by that they're only using because Morgans and the general public now view him that way. They would probably still rank him the same as like the fourth strongest now if they're using the bounty numbers. But they're not going to maybe call him particularly an emperor. It seems that's more like the public perception of it rather than the government. So I bet that's why St. J is there now, because he sees that Luffy's become one of the top pirates now. They can't. He messed them up multiple times, and now he's coming there. to ensure the situation. Like, he's not going to just, even though Kizaru's coming here himself, which I thought was bad enough, and he would make certain judgment calls, because that must be it, because this has to do with the Void Sentry information, and I doubt even Kizaru knows hardly anything, I should say. They must know a little. I think Jay now is in a position, him and the Gorosei decided, his colleagues there, we can't just let Admiral handle this himself. We don't want them to know too much either. So one of us has to go there and assess the situation, see what other people know, and what we're gonna do. Because I think at the end of the day, I think they're still gonna destroy the island, but they're not gonna. They're gonna want to be very tentative about what else happens, so that the information that Vegapunk has doesn't get out. That's the other thing. They're there to do cleanup to make sure information doesn't get out. This is how do I put this? Because of that's because the Straw Hats are there. When Ohara happened, they weren't worried about it because they thought, no one else is there. There's no powerful pirates nearby. It's just the Oharan archaeologists and the communities that live there. We'll just send Cypherpole, Spondum's dad, went there, and we'll just have him take care of it. So that worked out fine for them before. But now they got a Straw Hat cruise there, and they probably know Straw Hat's overall goal. So they're probably going to make sure any of the Vegapunks, too, don't escape with Straw Hat. Like, they're probably content to leave it in Lucci's hands before, but now they're like, oh no, we can't just do that. We can't just trust Kizaru. I mean, they trust him to protect them and do his job, but they're gonna be like, no, now we gotta make sure. So what Kizaru bring? Yeah, that'll be interesting how they come forward on the island with Saint J. We'll probably get a gauge here too of how good Saint J, whether he has any combat capabilities, whether it's just hockey, whether he's got physical abilities, Logia abilities, something, by how he converts, descends, and comes forth on the island, if at all. Or maybe he'll just stay right in his ship and do the same stuff he does from the Room of Authority and keep an eye out on it and transponder spot. No, he can't just do that. If he comes there to try and get the Seraphim, he's going to have to come to the island to get the Seraphim under his control. At least according to what Stussy said. We'll find out how true that is. So, looking at the situation that's about to happen too with the Straw Hats and York, I think they're going to have some brief scuffle. Also, I was looking at this situation. I don't think York is planning on fighting herself. She's been planning this out. And I briefly mentioned this yesterday about how she may have had or maybe in the review too, that she would have the Seraphim helping her. I suspect it was Doflamingo, S Flamingo, or even S Snake, because she came there later or almost killed Pythagoras. I suspect, even though we haven't seen this yet, she probably has the one of those Seraphim, the other ones, with her there. And that's probably what will happen. I imagine that Atlas, Chopper, and Robin will be there, and on their own, Chopper and Robin, I think, would be enough to handle York on their own. They could capture her, bring Chopper's the muscle, and Robin can use her ability to stop her, restrain her. But she'll probably have at least one of those Seraphim with her, which will break out into a fight. But this is the point. So I think there'll be a fight there, and hopefully we'll be able to get them to rescue Vegapunk. But then we'll have this. I think this is where things will get complicated. Oda, good at doing this. He's going to make this situation more complicated by having some point there's Saint J and Kizaru coming. I imagine when he'll come, it'll be where somewhere Zoro or Kaku or even Lucci or Luffy sees him and they're engaged with him in conversation too, and then we'll find out what Kizaru or Saint J are going to think about how now of all things that they had to the Cypherpole had us team up with pirates of all beings to save their skin, and this will be at that point they'll probably I think they're gonna try and get rid of Lucci and Kaku. This will be like their last straw because they messed up before here at Enie's lobby, and I don't know. If, I think it's possible one of them will die. They'll just get shot in the heart or something. I don't see all of them either getting out, unless they're very lucky and they can. They're strong enough to escape from someone like Kizaru. So then we'll have that, and while that's happening, St. J will probably get control of the. That's the other thing. So if York's controlling him right now, but once Kizaru comes in, St. J comes in, and if he takes control of him, that could bungle up York's plan as well, because she'll no longer have this, be able to use that as her muscle to escape. But then she'll probably, because she talked with them, she'll end up probably coming out there and talking with Kizaru and saying, hey, are you going to hold up my end of the deal? And that's where we'll see. I'll be interested, especially in seeing how well this, whether or not she has a deal there that will hold water against what the girls weigh in on her importance as a Vegapunk, or they just want to get rid of her because she knows too much, because she knows the stuff about the Void Century and she's the one who's ratted the others out. They still may want to get rid of her as well, because there's a liability in that. That information is too much of a liability, perhaps, to them. So that will be one of the most interesting bits for me to see what happens. Next, as far as a fight goes, I want to see what's going to happen here with the, if the Straw Hats will be able to stop any of these Seraphim too. Thinking about it, will they end up taking any of them out beforehand? Will they be able? I want to know how that flame thing works. So. A little side there. I want to see how well I do there. Next. What was the next thing? So next, what was I just thinking about? The question is here too. As it starts escalating with Kizaru or St. J and York and everyone, it'll be interesting to see whether they decide. The next thing too, is like where they decide to destroy the island, and if they do, how will the Straw Hats be able to escape this time? Their ship now is up there in the Labosphere, phase, whatever it's called. So now they're gonna have to get off from up there. And now, I was talking about that in the review or yesterday's video. Like they'll have to get off from up there, and I don't think the ship will have a problem surviving. It's whether or not they can get off there in time to get away from those ships, because now I was looking at what happened here with Enie's lobby, and the ships came in from one direction. They came in through the gates of justice, and it went up and started converging, shooting on the island from one direction. But if these guys, Kizaru and St. J, have learned from that situation, because there were so many pirates there, they'll probably start surrounding the island. And actually, this did almost happen, I think, here at the end. The Straw Hats had their ship. They had an escape ship here, if I recall correctly, and I didn't watch that bit. He ended up having to. Right here. He ended up having to. Frankie had to use this is probably what his inspiration was for doing this on the Sunny. Now he used his what's that called? His little cannon attack. Here it is. What's that called? I don't have it. I forget the name, but he used that to fling the ship out from around all these ships to escape. And I foresee this will be the next thing they'll have to do there. But anyway, so where were my thoughts going? The other fights, yeah. Well, what other fights will we end up seeing here? If Kizaru is the only one coming, I don't know if like. Well, the spam kill. What else what will hold up the other Straw Hats from escaping? 'Cause they're all in these groups where they end up. Also, I wonder if they'll end up having any chance of escaping with any of these Seraphim. I still wonder if the Seraphim can. What if they've realized the situation's changed? This just came to my thoughts now. And they can decide to do their own thing. Will any of them decide to escape if this island is being destroyed by a buster called 10 times 10? So where was I going to go? What? My goodness, it won't leave me alone. Call won't leave me alone. What is this? Hold on a sec. That's what I was forgetting about. Bonnie. What's going to happen here with Bonnie? She's stuck there in that room. Well, I can't say stuck, but she could end up stuck there. And she's there with her father's memories. Will she try to take that with her? It's a huge bubble, though. This thing's like, looks like it's about 12 to 15 feet in diameter, or height, more or less. Someone's going to have to go rescue her and make sure she gets out. And then she'll probably, like, will she end up with the Straw Hats there, or will she get captured? That's something else, too, actually. Well, yeah, I have a feeling that not everyone's going to get out of here with the Straw Hats safely. This is escalating so much. I just have this bad feeling, and I was thinking about this with Wano, that at some point, Nico's going to get into the hands of the government. My worst fear is, like, they'll be positioned in a point here where they can't escape, and she'll have to turn herself in. Kind of like how they tricked her with, I think that's how it went down at Water 7. They scared her into thinking your friends would be hurt. And kind of like how Sanji turned himself over willingly to Beige under Big Mom's orders because he was worried about his adopted dad. Yeah, so if anyone's going to get left behind here, I'm worried it'll end up being Robin because the situation here, we don't know what Saint J can do, and we don't know if he can somehow have some all-powerful, kind of like how Shanks stopped Green Bull. He can do something there to say, like, they can't fight him yet because he's too powerful, and Robin goes with them, and that helps the others' ability to escape. So, but Bonnie's stuck there too, and I almost keep forgetting about her as well as Caribou, and I'm wondering how that, I'm just like thinking about how this is all gonna, how they all gonna escape. And with Caribou, that's probably it. I bet Caribou will end up being the one saving Bonnie. If he's wandering around, I'm still not sure he's involved in this thing. I'm starting to think he's not really involved in this anymore. Maybe he's more like wandering around. And because the others are all in a situation where they're handling the Seraphim and looking for Vegapunk, I bet it will be Caribou that ends up having to save Bonnie there. Because he'll probably just be wandering to that area and see her there. And what if he has to fight one of the Seraphim? That'll be interesting. Maybe the the other two are wandering around. Because I suspect one's there with York. What if Flamingo and Bat are wandering around and the Caribou's met one of them already? I can see that being a thing already. Maybe, That figure, too, that took out the Denden Mushies, I don't think that was Caribou anymore. Maybe that was a Seraphim. It was shown there. She probably had those things. Well, I mean, Caribou could get by him really easy, too. But the precision of this happening, too, this looks more like York having the other Seraphim we did not see helping her. And Caribou, I think Caribou is just going to be used as some convenient character. Oda's like, oh, yeah, he's there, so he can help Bonnie there. Also, Sentomaru. Will Sentomaru be able to get away with it? And if he meets, that's probably what's going to happen. If St. J and Kizu arrive on the island, the second possibility, other than being up there where, like, Lucci and Luffy, is they arrive there in that main area and meet Sentomaru. Well, Sentomaru knows he's coming now. And Sentomaru, even if he didn't, he knows he's become a traitor. So I was talking about that in the other chat video I made. What will happen next? So what I'm basically doing is trying to look at an order of events, and I'm kind of getting off on a tangent here. So first, yeah, I imagine that Kizaru and Saint J will come. Because Saint J again has to come to take the Seraphim under his control. This will end up having to meet maybe York and Sentomaru quickly because they're there. Not there, but they'll. And then, so that'll happen next. And then the Straw Hats will realize that they're in trouble with them, and they'll have to start to convene and get an escape plan. And that'll be the next thing. What will be the escape plan to get out? Because they'll have to regroup. Well, they'll have to figure out, because they're up on the label phase, and I'm thinking that St. J and Kizaru will arrive at the bottom first. Actually, that's something, too, I forgot. There's the defenses up there. they can't arrive where Luffy and the others are right now because the defenses are on. Will they be able to take them out from where they are? I forgot about that. They'll probably have to arrive at the bottom and figure a way. Maybe Kizaru can do something. Maybe St. J can do something. Or St. J, Kizaru can just probably, maybe his attacks can take out the. It looks like I saw in some of the panels, it was like the cloud stuff being used to hold up the Labo phase area. And they'll be able to take that out somehow, maybe to get the defenses off. Something that the maybe even Kaku and Lucci couldn't do. Oh, and another thing too, I keep forgetting the brain. I gotta write that down. Are they coming there? Maybe that's the other thing. Well, I keep forgetting. If they want to take out all those Vegapunks, yes, they must be. They must be the brain. I bet that's why St. J's there too. The Seraphim and the brain. They must be there to get that, I bet. They don't want, maybe that's why they weren't worried about having, well, yeah, I was saying that York had a deal, but if the Seraphim, if Lucci said he's going to just take, the orders are to take it out, and Kizaru's coming, duh, the brain must be the reason they're not going to worry about York or keeping a deal with York. They're just going to try to get rid of them all, like I said earlier, with the liability of her knowing everything too, and they're going to plug that brain, they'll tape that brain and keep it to have Vegapunk's vast knowledge. Although I don't think that would be enough, because if this brain is just a brain like where his knowledge is being stored and they kill the Vegapunk and his satellites, it's not going to be creative. They must have a backup scientist. They must have someone else. Wait a minute, who else? Was there any other scientists we know that work for them? Queen and Caesar are now working a group in themselves. They're pirates. Caesar was working for them, but then they found out he was working with Doflamingo, and we know he was working with Big Mom too, contracting his other services. Judge was part of his German kingdom was allowed to go to Reverie until recently. Now, then they were planning on it anyways if they had a successful arranged marriage with Big Mom. And then there's Queen. I don't think Oda's introduced any other scientist characters other than we got Frankie and Vegapunk, Queen, Judge, and Caesar. That's the 5 of them. I want to know if I want to see if that's what they're planning, if they're taking the brain and they're going to use that. Who's going to use the brain? Is there a specific character they know who seems competent enough to use the brain? It's vast knowledge that Vegapunk and his satellites have put into it to become the new asset that replaces Vegapunk on behalf of the world government. So anyways, where was I to? Oh, the Straw Hats escape. Yeah, the others are the Seraphim. We have Centaur at the bottom, and we have the others at the top. Yeah, the lasers. How will they get through the lasers and get up there? Is that going to happen where I bet what will happen is the Straw Hats, they stop York. Maybe that's what happens is they'll stop York. Before I was talking about York probably what's going to happen is they're going to figure out how to stop the Seraphim. So there'll be a number of battles here. Maybe they'll stop York or make her stand them down. And then when they turn the defenses off to try to escape, that's when St. J and Kizaru will come up there and the other ships will start converging. So this is where I was trying to get to this final point. What will this look like? Well, we just saw what happened here with the... They even had some of those ships right. Actually, I was wrong too. At Enie's Lobby, some ships did go around the front area, and they almost took out the Frankie family and the other shipwrights that came, as well as the 2 giants that defected. They were already there. Some were already there to take them out. So they're probably going to start doing the same thing. Wait, her here too. I'm playing it in the background. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7. They had 7 of the ships surround the Straw Hats. And they must have sent the other 3 to the front where the Frankie family and the others were. So I suspect they'll do a similar thing where they send some ships around to the different exits, the ports of the area. By the way, that's something too. Since tomorrow just told the others to escape, how are they gonna escape now? Are they gonna use do they have other mobile vehicles, other things that can fly away or swim away? But hopefully they'll have something that flies and gets away, because some of them are gonna probably get picked off if they start going out on the sea right now. Those ships are probably very close by, because they look like they were mobilizing them right away. We saw a few chapters ago with the radio conveying that, and they had how many they had. So, last predictions. I think not everyone's going to get out of here. We already saw that some of the satellites aren't. Maybe Bonnie and Sentomaro. I don't know if they'll escape with the Straw Hat crew. Stussy, I think Stussy for sure is going to go with them. I don't know how long she'll stay with them, but she's the only one I can feel strongly is going to be the main one. And Bonnie maybe that will get away with the Straw Hats safely. Robin, I'm a little worried though that if things are going south, Robin will give herself up there, because she's about to meet one of the Gorosei, who's one of the chief guys behind her home island's destruction. And she'll probably stop give herself over to him in order to protect the others. Let's see, who else? Maybe and Vegapunk. Maybe the main Vegapunk will escape if York doesn't kill him here. Hopefully the other Robin, Atlas, and Chopper can get there and intervene. As far as the Seraphim too, I don't know if all the Seraphim will probably mostly go with Kizaru if he ends up there and gets them. And what's the last bit? I don't know if they'll escape either. I'm wondering if any of them will get defeated. And lastly, too, it's interesting too. We keep cutting over to Kuma and him being on the crying the red wall now, and Crocodile. That's the thing, not Crocodile. Dragon. I wanted to bring up Dragon because he's a friend with Vegapunk, and it looked like Shaka talked to him about in 1062 or 1061. He was talking to Dragon, so I wonder if Dragon will end up meeting the Straw Hats after this, whatever's about to go down does. Where the island, the last thing too, I think the island's gonna get destroyed. We're gonna probably have it all blazed down because I think St. J's gonna be convinced that this is too dangerous and there's too much of a liability that the other staff members and residents or whoever on the island know stuff, and they're gonna destroy it all. So Dragon's going to probably take notice of this. He was there with Vegapunk. They talked about Ohara together 22 years ago. I think this is going to be a thing that will somehow lead Dragon and Luffy to come together at some point here. The one way I could think of that is if Vegapunk is with him, or even Bonnie too, they'll want to look for Dragon. Vegapunk would want to go to Dragon because he's like, I should go with the revolutionaries now. They are the last one who will be able to protect me. Like, I know the Straw Hats can too, but he'll probably want to go somewhere else. Because he'll want to, he'll probably want to help the revolutionary army now because he knows stuff that will help with their goal of getting, because he knows about so much that I think they'll he'll want to go, how do I put that? He'll want to go with them. Let's just put it that way. I'm getting a little mixed up on how to. And then Bonnie will probably go with them, with the Straw Hats. We don't even know where her crew is either. What happened to her crew? So she'll go with them. Maybe they'll regroup with her crew. But she'll probably want to go where Kuma is. Now, the thing, too, is what is happening with Kuma there. Will she find out about Kuma and take her ship or have the Straw Hats go where he is? No, that would be backtracking for the Straw Hats. She'll probably do it herself. I know Oda's never had the Straw Hats backtrack yet. That's why I'm getting at that. They're always going forward. Luffy almost made them do it in chapter 1060 when he heard about that Sabo killed King Cobra, the way the papers reported it. And last thoughts on that. Yeah, I'm just not sure any of the satellites unfortunately won't escape. The only ones that look like they have a chance to escape to me would be Atlas or maybe Lilith, if she can be unturned from stone. Because it looks like Pythagoras is gone. Shaka, I don't think York's going to make it out of here. I think St. J's going to execute her. Edison, we're not sure on. So who's left? And York, Shaka. And yeah, I'm not sure on that. So, oh yeah, the fight too. Last thing, yeah, we have. It looks like I think Oda's placing this stuff with like Sanji and Zoro to fight these two guys. I don't know. He's like with Zoro, it's because he's fighting a thing that's like Mihawk. I want to know if anyone defeats a Seraphim, I think it'll be Zoro or Sanji. The way Oda's setting this up. Oh, there's a thing too. I was just talking about a Seraphim, if one of them would defect. We saw with S Snake, she looks like she's been showing off the most emotion of the others that we've seen. And I wonder if she'll be attracted to Luffy without realizing why, and that would make her be the one that could defect and try to help them at the end. By the way, that too, even though I disagreed with the idea that S. Flamingo did this or was doing it himself, if there was another one of those ones that could be defect, so to speak, I would say put money on S. The Flamingo one too, as well as S. Snake, given their separate propensities. One to show if she's like attracted to Luffy and won't listen to orders, and Doflamingo being a clone from such an evil bastard would do the same thing, because he'd want to go out and just be like, he'd be like the you know what they'd be like? It'd be like the closest thing I'm thinking of is I'm gonna have to use a Harry Potter reference again. With Chamber of Secrets, the diary of Voldemort that started becoming doing its own goals, and it was gonna take all of Ginny Weasley's her life force to and become a separate being. That's what Flamingo reminds me he could be like, where the Flamingo one would get away, could maybe change itself so it doesn't have to listen to orders from anyone in that hierarchy, and then go out and be a separate Doflamingo, a younger one, albeit. So yeah, I guess that's about it. Last thing too, I was a little disappointed as to the way, was it in this one chapter that it hinted at that King really was the last Lunarian. So I was no, that's what I meant to. No, it's because they said they augmented the Seraphim with his Lunarian blood. I was still wondering if there were other ones they would have captured at other research facilities. But the way Shaka said it, at the very least, Vegapunks don't know about any other Lunarians. They only had his, and they didn't have his DNA to make the Seraphim the way they are. So that was that shut out that possibility, at least as far as what they know. So that's about it. So we'll see what's going to happen. This is definitely just Enie's Lobby Sabaody 2.0, and I have no idea who's going to escape or not. And I don't think there's a break this week, so we'll find out in a few days. Thanks for watching.